You're watching Sunday Sound Off with Frank Bull.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sunday Sound Off, where you get a chance to take part in a conversation. Everything sports. You can tweet us your questions and your comments using the hashtag Sunday Sound Off. Let's introduce tonight's panel. Soren Petro, Sports Radio 810 WHB in the program, 10 to 2 every day. Soren.
Frank, how are you? It's good to be here. I was with an old buddy of yours who will remain nameless last night. And all of his friends said, "You're going to talk about how disgusting this loss is, right?" So I'm here to talk about the disgusting loss that happened with Kansas.
It was absolutely disgusting. Of course, Jared Sutton, the former Missouri basketball player and SEC network guru. Jared, how are you?
I'm good, Frank. Just another week where I get to come on your show and talk about how bad my bracket has been over the last week.
Oh, boy, I think 600 and some people had the right bracket. I don't believe that at all. Right Final Four. And, of course, Blair Kirchhoff, the fine columnist from the Kansas City Star. Blair, how are you?
I'm doing great, Frank. And you have, 7-8 days to call yourself the reigning champ of college basketball, or your alma mater, the reigning champ? Count them down. Enjoy the last few days.
I will take it. Last year's final. In fact, the North Carolina-Kentucky ending sort of reminded me a little bit of the Villanova game last year. Gentlemen, here are our hot topics of the evening. Will anyone in the Big 12 challenge Kansas next season? And considering the success of former K-State coaches in the NCAA tournament, should Bruce Weber leave Manhattan? Oh, we'll have some fun with that. And number 3, will Mizzou make the 2018 NCAA tournament? But first, to our question of the week. Why do Bill Self's teams have such a tough time in Elite 8 games? Soren.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a little bit out of, out of answers for this one. I had a theory. I thought it was a pretty good one, and it was, I thought he relied too much on the double post, and he didn't have enough shooters on the floor, and needed to be a little bit more of a perimeter team, more guards to make things happen. This is the team that I've been asking for. What he ended up with putting together when he made that shift back in December, that he was going to go to 1 post player and 4 perimeter players. I thought this is it. This is what the guy's been needing to put together and make sure that he's got more guards that can make it happen. So they put that kind of team on the floor, and they still don't get through. So I personally am really out of options. I know one thing. When they play these Elite 8 games, they're tight. When you see those front rim clankers, and even, I think it was an air ball from Devontae Graham at one point in the lane, they are just tight. And it's like everybody doesn't want to make a mistake, which is exactly when you make mistakes. And I can't figure that out. For a program that's been in this spot so many different times, a coach that's been there and been past it, he is 2-7 in the Elite 8 round, 2-5 at Kansas. But twice he's won there, and it's not like it's just 10th-seeded Davidson that he beat in 08. He beat at the 1-seed North Carolina when they advanced in 2012. But for whatever reason, they just do not play loose in these games, and it's cost them.
Jarrett?
Yeah, I look at the Elite 8 games. You talk about Villanova a year ago against Jay Wright, and with Kansas, you have to match their toughness, and you have to bring a defensive effort, and you got to make shots and make plays late. When I look at the game last night, Oregon was the better team. Kansas coach Bill Self said that in his post-game press conference. And I look at the adjustments Dana Altman made to go zone. Jordan Bell in the middle of that zone blocked 8 shots. He also altered probably 10 or 12 shots. And Oregon's game plan was protect the paint, protect the rim, and force Kansas to make outside jump shots. They got Josh Jackson in foul trouble. I thought Dylan Brooks kept him off his toes on the defensive end. Did a great job, 17 points. And then you talk about Dorsey down the stretch, making plays. That's a game plan to beat Kansas. That's exactly what Villanova did a year ago. It's good coaching. It's executing a game plan. And in a hostile environment, you got to give Oregon credit, especially doing that without Boucher, one of their best players.
Yeah, right. And Blair, the deal is, here comes Kansas. They're coming back from almost a 20-point deficit, and they're creeping. You thought, okay, they're going to come back and win this thing.
Well, when they got it to 6 and forced the bad shot by I think it was Dorsey, or I can't remember if it was Brooks or Dorsey who got the bad shot, and Kansas had the rebound, but Josh Jackson tipped it away from Frank Mason, went back to Dorsey, who ended up with a shot clock buzzer beating 3 to make it 9, and that was the backbreaker. But I really thought in that game that the critical moment was in the last 2 minutes of the first half, when Frank Mason all by himself was keeping Kansas in the game in the first half. He scored at one point 15 straight KU points, had 17 points in the first half. With about a minute and a half to go, the lead, the Oregon lead was 5 or 6. I can't remember exactly what it was. But Kansas had 2 turnovers on its final 2 possessions, and Dorsey knocked in a couple of threes that were just, one of which hit every angle on the rim before falling in, and then the final one was the buzzer beater that hit the backboard and went in from 30 feet. And I just thought, Kansas was getting a valiant effort from Frank Mason early on, and if they could have gone down 5 or 6 at halftime without anything from Jackson, without anything from Devontae Graham or Landon Lucas or Mekhi Luke, the Kansas would be in pretty good shape in the second half. And, of course, instead they go down 11, and none of those guys really showed up much in the second half. And the other thing, Frank, real quick, is that I think Jackson's second foul in the first 2.5 minutes changed the dynamic for Kansas and changed the feel of the game.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. All right, up next, our Hot Topics. You're watching Sunday Sound Off.